So hi everyone. On 29th of September, MEF will host a 3-day virtual event shining a spotlight on the rich communications revolution. Now, rich messaging could displace the native app and mobile website as the preferred channel for smartphone users. And within a few years, millions of people could be spending even more time inside platforms such as RCS, WhatsApp, iMessage and others. And they won't be just messaging, they'll be finding information, sending customer feedback, shopping and more. So obviously this has huge implications for publishers, brands and marketers, and there's lots to talk about. My name is Tim Green, I'm the features editor of the MEF, and today, as a teaser for the Rich Communications event, I'm delighted to be joined by one of its official supporters, Ira Cohen, who's VP of Business Development and Marketing at MMD Smart. Ira, welcome.
Hi everybody, great to be here.
Good, so I know you have strong feelings about the use of messaging, in particular for lead generation and marketing, and we spoke last year at the Demexco event, and you were quite critical, I think, of some of the areas of the marketing community in their adoption of messaging for these purposes. So why don't you explain a bit more about what you mean by that?
I hope it wasn't too critical. I was just wanted to push them in the right way. Look, we could compare SMS to where emails were 15, 20 years ago, okay? Then it was like the primary tool. Everyone was getting inundated with marketing emails, and a lot of them were opened at the time until marketers ruined everything and people got fed up with getting all those emails, and they all went straight to spam. I think for a lot of marketers, SMS is a new kid on the block. They haven't really considered it as a good tool for what they're doing, and they've been focusing on other tools that they've been using different channels. But if we look at SMS as a channel, it basically is the best lead gen channel that you can possibly imagine, because I'm getting great open rates. Everyone's checking their SMS all the time. Within 90 seconds, I know if my campaign is working or not because I can see the initial click-through rate. And for a marketer, that's fantastic feedback to get. And so I think that part of the problem is an education problem. I think part of the problem is that people just aren't aware of how great SMS is for what digital marketers are trying to do. We see across many verticals, so many companies that are using SMS as their primary lead gen tool. And they're getting far better results than they were getting when they were sending out 1 million emails a day, because they're getting so many more eyeballs right off the bat. They're getting, and that's the first part of it. The second part of it is that SMS is a great tool, or any mobile messaging app actually, to drive people down the funnel, to drive potential consumers down the funnel. And so, and if we look at what digital marketing is today, digital marketing is focused on two primary activities. One is lead gen, and the other is nurturing the funnel. And so, by using mobile messaging, you're basically able to target the two primary actions that you need to take as a digital marketer, and you're doing it on the mobile handset, and with your captive audience who are looking at those messages all the time. People get 60 push notifications a day, whether it's emails coming in or SMS coming in, and they don't, they can't possibly pay attention to so many different. I'm not talking about all the different messages we get from all the different medias, whether it's television or other types of, or online internet ads. And you need to break through that noise. SMS, mobile messaging, breaks through the noise. People check their messages. It's proven. I'm not making this up. And that's like that. If I'm a marketer, that's what I want to happen. I want to break through the noise, get eyeballs on a channel that's trusted and efficient to my consumers. And so
in order to do that, you need to have a database that's legally sourced and so on. So what advice would you give to marketers about building an SMS database?
Well, there are two parts to that. First of all, there are ways to generate a mobile database. Okay. One of it is you give an offer that you can only get on mobile. Okay, we will send you a coupon that could be a mobile coupon, and many companies are doing that. You do some sort of a content promotion online. You can do it on LinkedIn. You could do it in other places, on Facebook, etc. And you ask people to sign in to get a coupon or get some sort of a benefit that comes across on the mobile channel. Then you ask them, and can we send other similar promotional types of messages using this channel or from our company? So that would be one way to do it. Very successful with a lot of companies that we're using across the board. And, we have casinos in Australia, and we have e-commerce retailers in Germany who are all doing the same sort of similar thing to build up their own their own independent database that they can use for these types of promotions. But a lot of times we get asked a different question, which is, okay, I have millions of people on my email database. How do I convert my email database to a mobile database so I can use it for SMS? So here we do a little bit of training. The first part is that when you're asking consumers for their personal data, don't ask for a telephone number. Don't ask for a telephone number. Ask specifically for a mobile number, okay? Because the telephone number has no value. If you're going to send me a text message on my home phone, I'm not going to see it. And if you call me on my home phone, chances are no one's home to answer it. Don't do that. You want to use that mobile phone, which is in people's pocket. That's first of all. Take that mobile database, take that email database, and run a promotion. The best thing, the one that works best, is a $5 Starbucks coffee coupon.
Right.
All right. Give us your mobile number. We'll send you a $5 coupon. Take it into the next Starbucks and get it. Or take another brand or something that's popular in the area where you're trying to get those things.
Yeah.
When you give people incentives, and they're incentives that have value to them, they're willing to share their data with you. Obviously, you need to make sure that they can opt out at any point that they want. You need to make sure that they feel comfortable getting these promotional messages from you. But there are some really basically foolproof ways in order to generate the mobile database, which work, by the way, all over the world. In Canada, it would be Tim Hortons rather than Starbucks. The names would change, right? But it's more or less similar.
And once you have
a mobile database, then think of great ways to monetize it. And a mobile database is really a mobile database that with current numbers that work is really valuable to have.
And what's the reality for the digital marketer of actually using that database to send messages? How do they have a web dashboard they can do it through? Do they have to call you up to book the sending of these messages? I mean, what's the reality of using it on a day-to-day basis?
Well, the majority of companies use the CRM. They use their own customer software management, the same way they would do an email campaign or any other sort of promotion that they would do. SMS or any mobile messaging have APIs which connect into the CRM. An API, for those of you who don't need, is a software that connects between one piece of software to another piece of software. And so they connect their customer management software to the tool that's being used to send the SMS, exactly the way that emails are done today. The advantage of that is that then I'm tracking the interactions that I have with that customer. And if the customer replies to me, and I'll get to this in a second, then I also know what's happening. What did the customer respond to? What are the customer's interests? And how does the customer want to be contacted in the future? Some companies will work through a portal. Many of the SMS service providers like ourselves have a do-it-yourself portal where you basically go on and send a campaign whenever you want. It has the same functionality as the API, or actually the API has the same functionality as the portal. You can track how your messages are doing. There's a dashboard to see how the campaigns are working. You could do A/B testing there. But that doesn't automatically connect that into the CRM. So you need to track the data about your customers separately from that. But all of the brands and most of the companies that we work with today are using the CRM. And it's a fairly easy integration for them. And then there are tremendous advantages for them because then they can also use different channels to communicate with the customers. And that gets us into omni-channel. They'll see which channels the customer is referring to. They can run the same campaigns from that one CRM to multiple channels.
Okay, so you've talked about the power of SMS messaging in the sense that it's personal and immediate, and people are more likely to respond to it. But there's obviously a limitation on what you can do in terms of the actual content of the message. And this is where rich messaging offers so much more potential. So do you want to talk a little bit about just what more you can do when you move from SMS into rich messaging apps?
I'll do even better than that, okay? This really functions this is the major difference between other channels to what mobile messaging can do. And it's because other channels are speaking at the customer. They're throwing messages at them. SMS enables me to begin a conversation, to help me follow along the consumer's purchase journey. With rich messaging, it becomes even more so, because then that two-way dialogue gives me a possibility to give the consumer the information that they want in their hand whether it's through rich media, whether it's through videos, whether it's through pictures, whether it's through a carousel that they can swipe to see the different pictures of the product, much like I would do if I would go onto Amazon and I'm looking at a product and I can swipe through to look at different views of it. I'll be able to do this with all of the rich media channels. But the main thing there is that customer dialogue. The customer can ask me questions, I can answer back. I understand now what the customer is looking for, and therefore I can target him in the future if I want. It's giving the power of the conversation to the customer. It's letting the customer manage that interaction with me. Today, all the big brands that are succeeding are giving that power into the consumer's hand, whether it's Uber, whether it's DoorDash, or the food apps. All of these are giving that to the consumer. And in this case, companies are able to go to the consumer and say, okay, when you want to talk to me, this is where I am. You don't need to go look for me somewhere. You don't need to go to the customer service person if you want information. Come to me, come to my Rich Communications channel, where I give you the best customer service that you can ever get. Because I can, you want to rent a hotel room, here are what the hotel rooms look like. You want to order your breakfast, here are what the breakfast look like. You want to go to a show, here are some clips from the theater that you can order tickets from. There's so many different things that I can do with that. And and then I can sell, the merchandise from. You want to go to the Grateful Dead I'm sorry, now I'm giving up my age. The Grateful Dead concert. Here's a Deadhead T-shirt that you can buy online by clicking on this button on our Rich Communication channel. These are all, and this goes back to the way the consumers expect to be spoken to, and to have that power, the control in their hands. And
so, in order to do,
will enable us to do that with that dialogue.
In order to have all of these customer conversations simultaneously, you're probably going to need bots. So do you want to talk a little bit about the role that bots will play in the rich communications revolution?
Actually, when I find when I speak to people, this is the part that most people don't really understand. There'll be a revolution in our search behavior, or how we expect to search for things from our mobile phone. Today, when I search for things on the computer, I go to Google, I look for a company, it brings me up to the company's website, and that's how I look at the company and its products, okay? When I'm on my mobile phone, it brings me up an abridged version of that same sort of thing. I see it on a mobile phone, so it'll be the mobile version of the website. I don't have great reading. I need reading glasses usually, so I can't see like all the small print and the dots on that. I always have to make the screen bigger. With Rich Communications channel, I'll have it when I'm looking for, let's say I want to book a hotel room in London, I'll write, hotel room in London, and instead of me having, getting a website with Booking.com or some other booking agencies, Booking.com's chatbot will pop up and say, okay, when would you like to go to London? And it'll ask me the question without me having to put in and search for it. It'll find me the hotel rooms that make sense for me within my budget during the days that I want to go to London. And it'll be able to show me what the hotels look like, and it'll be able to send me the maps where the hotel is located, so I know that I'll be near Leicester Square or wherever I want to be. And that we can do via that chatbot. We don't have to have a human being behind that. Most companies already know that when consumers contact them, they have the most popular questions that they're asked, the FAQs that they're asked. So you build a script for a chatbot, and without having a customer service person, the chatbot can manage this entire dialogue because it knows already what the responses are that it needs to give. Let's say the chatbot isn't smart enough and the consumer stumps the chatbot. Then there's a time where the human agent comes into play. The human agent comes in order to answer the question. Sometimes that may require a delay. The chatbot will say, I need to check that. We'll be back in a few minutes. And then the human agent comes online to take over that dialogue. Chatbots are a real key. And that chatbot discovery that I mentioned, and finding Booking.com when I search for a hotel room, that's going to be a big key of this new economy that's going to be built around rich media. Because the big brands want to be there in that directory. The brands that I interact with all the time will show up on my phone on the top of my directory because those are the brands I use all the time. And I'll give them premier space on my screen. And so that's really going to change a lot about the way that we search for things on mobile. And that's going forward. It's one of the reasons why Google is active in this space, because that search is something that Google wants to be a big part of. So.
Well, I mean, the whole area of search and discovery is another area we could talk about. for a long, long time, and it's one of the topics that we will be discussing on September the 29th through to October 1st at the MEF event. So, Ira, thanks for all of your wisdom today, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the virtual event, and thanks very much.